Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Usually when we prep for these, we're wading through a swamp of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. White papers, PDF
A
reports.
dense academic study or two.
Yeah.
We're trying to find that signal in the noise for you. But today, the prep was, well, it was weirdly minimal.
Minimal in volume, maybe.
Yeah.
But definitely not minimal in what it implies.
Right, exactly. We aren't looking at a stack of documents today. We're looking at a single digital footprint, a specific web resource, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com. And the title that goes with it is Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. That's it. That is the entire text we are working with.
It looks so small. It looks like a local business listing. But if you know how to read the tea leaves of the energy industry right now, that URL it's basically a signal flare.
That is exactly why I wanted to do this. Because on the surface, it's just 5 words, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. Yeah. It feels pretty self-explanatory. But the moment we started talking about this off mic, you immediately went into this whole rant about grid congestion.
It was not a rant. It was spirited analysis.
Okay, it was a rant, but it was a good one. Because I think most people, and I'm including myself here, they see mobile EV charging and just think,
right.
Oh, cool, like Uber Eats, but for electricity. You know, someone brings a battery to my car while I'm at the grocery store.
Which is the consumer-facing view for sure.
Yeah.
But that is just... it's barely scratching the surface. What Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com actually represents is a fundamental pivot in how we distribute energy. It's moving away from the real estate model.
The gas station model.
Exactly. The model of the last century, where you drive to a specific plot of land to get fuel, and it's moving toward a logistics model.
So, okay, the mission today isn't to define what the words mean. We know what they mean. But to really unpack the business model, the technological reality that makes a company like this necessary right now. Let's start with the heavy lifter in the title, mobile.
The operative word, definitely.
Why does mobile matter here? I mean, is it just convenience? Or is this solving a bigger hardware problem? Because my assumption is that building a stationary charger is always going to be more efficient than driving a battery around in a truck.
And in a perfect world, you'd be right. Yeah. If the grid was infinitely flexible and construction was instant, you just put a plug everywhere. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world of interconnection queues.
Interconnection queues. Okay, break that down for us.
Okay, so let's say you run a delivery company in Sacramento.
Yeah.
You buy 50 electric vans. You need to charge them, obviously.
Right.
You call the local utility and say, hey, I need a megawatt of power at my depot.
Mm-hmm.
The utility might say, great, we can upgrade that transformer and, dig up the street to lay the conduit. It'll cost you $2 million. And we can start construction in maybe 2028.
Wow. Ouch. So you have the vans, but you literally can't plug them in.
Exactly. You have what's called a stranded asset. This is the bottleneck that is just killing fleet electrification right now. And this is where the mobile part of our source title becomes so critical. By putting mobile front and center, this entity is telling us they're bypassing that queue. They're an arbitrager of energy and time.
So they aren't just a charger on wheels, they are a grid workaround.
They are infrastructure gap fillers. That's the perfect term. They likely charge their own battery banks at a location where power is cheap and abundant.
Right, like off-peak hours or something.
Or maybe directly off a high-voltage line.
Yeah.
And then they physically transport that potential energy to the customer who is grid constrained.
So it effectively decouples the charging location from the grid connection point.
Precisely. And that changes the economics entirely. You shift from CapEx, capital expenditure, digging trenches, pouring concrete.
All the expensive slow stuff.
For OpEx. Operating expense, you just pay a service fee to have the truck show up. For a business owner, that is massive. It keeps all that debt off the balance sheet.
It reminds me of the early days of cloud computing. Instead of building your own server room, you just rented space on Amazon servers. This is charging as a service.
That is the industry term, CAI-S. And looking at the source, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com, the fact that they're leading with mobile tells me they know their customer isn't just the guy with a Tesla who forgot to plug in.
No.
It's likely the fleet manager staring at a spreadsheet, panicking about how to keep his trucks running without blowing his budget on construction.
Okay, I want to dig into the tech a bit here. When we say mobile charging, what are we actually visualizing? Is this a guy with a diesel generator in the back of a pickup? Because that would be kind of ironic.
It happens, but mobile EV charging solutions usually implies battery bucket systems. So imagine a large van or a box truck just filled with high-density lithium-ion packs.
So like the one I use for my phone, but the size of a U-Haul?
Pretty much, yeah. And the key here is the speed of transfer. We aren't talking about a trickle charge.
No way.
If they're servicing commercial clients, they need to offer level 3 DC fast charging speeds. They need to be able to dump, maybe 1,500 kilowatt hours into a vehicle in under an hour.
Which requires serious thermal management
That's
and,
high.
I mean, really sophisticated software. This isn't a hobbyist setup.
Not at all. And that brings us to the second word in the title, which provides the context for all of this technology, Sacramento.
Yeah, let's talk geography. The URL is hyper-specific. Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com. It doesn't say California. It doesn't say West Coast. It locks in right on Sacramento. Why? Is it just because that's where they live?
Well, that's the simple answer, but look at the regulatory landscape. Sacramento isn't just a city. It's the capital of the state that is leading the charge pun intended on electrification.
Ah, so you're thinking about the mandates.
Absolutely. The Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation. California is effectively banning the sale of new diesel trucks for certain fleets on a really aggressive timeline.
So if you're a government agency in Sacramento or a logistics company operating out of the Central Valley, you are being legally forced to buy electric trucks right now.
You have no choice. But going back to our earlier point, the grid in Sacramento, like a lot of older cities, it wasn't designed for every parking lot to suddenly become a high-power fueling station.
The infrastructure lag.
It's real. So Sacramento creates this perfect storm. You have a legal mandate to switch to EVs.
But a physical inability to plug them all in.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that creates a desperate market for mobile. The Sacramento identifier in the source isn't just a location. It's a signal that they are operating in the absolute epicenter of regulatory pressure. It's the test kitchen for this entire business model.
And there's also the density factor, right? You mentioned earlier that mobile charging is a logistics game.
It is purely logistics. If you're a mobile charger, your enemy is travel time. If your truck spends 40 minutes driving to deliver 20 minutes of charge, you're bankrupt. You need density.
And Sacramento provides that density of fleets.
It does. You've got state vehicle depots, delivery hubs, agricultural transport, all clustered relatively close together. A mobile provider in Sacramento can likely hit 4 or 5 clients in a really tight loop.
Whereas if they tried this in a rural area,
The economics would just collapse.
so the URL sacramentomobileevecharging.com is basically saying, we are in the one place where the laws force you to need us, and the geography allows us to serve you efficiently.
It's a very smart, very targeted play. And it's defensive, too. By claiming Sacramento in the URL, they're signaling local knowledge. I mean, navigating a box truck full of batteries through downtown traffic requires knowing the city.
Yeah, you don't want a national call center dispatching someone from 3 hours away.
Not at all.
Okay, let's shift to the last part of the name. We've covered the where and the how. Now for the what. The title ends with solutions, plural.
The corporate plural.
We see this everywhere, right? Everything is a solution these days. But in this context, does it actually mean something specific? Why not just call it Sacramento Mobile EV Charging?
It's a vital distinction. It
Yeah.
really is. If you sell charging, you are selling a commodity. You are selling kilowatt hours. It's a race to the bottom on price. I sell it for 30 cents. He sells it for 29.
Boring. And very low margin.
Exactly. But if you sell solutions, you are selling reliability. You're selling uptime.
Uptime, that's the big B2B keyword.
Think about that fleet manager again. His nightmare isn't paying a few cents more for electricity. His nightmare is a driver showing up at 6 a.m., finding the truck has a dead battery, and missing a delivery window. That costs thousands.
So a solution isn't just plugging in the truck, it's ensuring the truck is ready to go when it needs to be.
That's it. Solutions implies a whole suite of services. It implies scheduling. It implies telematics integration,
Oh, interesting.
where the charging company can see the battery levels of the fleet in real time and dispatch their trucks automatically. Oh, van 4 is at 12% and needs to run a route tomorrow. We'll head there now.
Wow. That's fascinating. So the mobile truck becomes like a guardian angel for the fleet. The customer doesn't even have to ask for the charge. It just happens.
That is the holy grail, frictionless energy.
Mm-hmm.
And solutions also covers the edge cases. Like, what happens if a truck runs out of juice on the side of the highway?
Emergency rescue.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
AAA for the electric age. If you are just a station, you can't help a stranded car. If you're a mobile solution, you can roll a truck out to the highway and give them just enough juice to get home. That is a very high-value service.
It also seems the solutions hints at scalability. We talked about charging as a service. If I'm a business, maybe I don't want to buy the chargers or the energy management software. I just want to pay one flat fee.
The wet hosing model.
Wet hosing, what's that?
It's an old term from the trucking industry. A fuel tanker comes to the yard at night and fills up it wet hoses all the trucks so the drivers don't have to waste time at a gas station in the morning.
Ah, okay. So this is just the electric evolution of that exact same idea.
It is, but it's more complex.
Yeah.
Electricity takes time to transfer, right? You could fill a diesel tank in 5 minutes. You can't charge a battery that fast without generating massive heat. So the solution involves managing that dwell time. They have to know exactly how long each vehicle is going to be parked.
Which brings us right back to data. This isn't really a hardware company, it's a data company.
Every modern infrastructure company is a data company disguised as hardware. They have to be.
I want to zoom out a bit. We've dissected the name Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com. We've looked at the regulatory pressure in Sacramento, the grid failure that makes mobile necessary, and the fleet needs that demand solutions. What does this tell us about the future of, say, the gas station?
That is the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Because right now, that gas station model, the real estate model, is still how we think. But if this source is pointing the right way, if energy can come to us, do we even need gas stations anymore?
I think we are witnessing the slow death of the pit stop. Think about it. The gas station only exists because gasoline is a hazardous fluid that requires giant, dangerous underground tanks. It's centralized because it has to be. Electricity is, well, it's everywhere.
And if it's not everywhere, it can be carried in a battery.
Exactly. So if you can decouple the energy from the location, the whole concept of a station becomes obsolete, at least for urban driving. Why would you drive to a specific concrete island to stand there for 20 minutes?
It's so inefficient. It feels like a waste of life.
It is. The future signaled by this URL is dwell time charging. You charge while you sleep. You charge while you work. You charge while you shop. And if the infrastructure isn't there, a mobile solution just brings it to you.
So the city itself becomes the charger.
The infrastructure becomes fluid, it flows around the vehicles, and this creates a much more resilient grid too. If a substation goes down or a specific charger breaks, the network can adapt. Mobile units can just redeploy.
That's a really crucial point, resilience. We've all seen the power outages in California. We've seen the grid strain. A mobile fleet of batteries is actually a backup power source for the whole city, not just for cars.
That's the vehicle-to-grid, or V2G potential. Imagine if Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com isn't just selling charges to cars. What if, during a heat wave when AC usage spikes, they plug their mobile batteries into a building to keep the lights on?
So they become a roving power plant.
That is the ultimate solution. They arbitrage energy not just for cars, but for the grid itself. They buy low at night, sell high during the peak demand of the day, and they help keep the city running.
It's incredible how much depth is hidden in such a generic-sounding name. You see Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions and you think small business, but you dig in and you find regulatory arbitrage, grid resilience, the complete reimagining of urban logistics.
That's why we do this, you know. The most boring names often hide the most revolutionary shifts, because the people building the future are usually too busy fixing problems to come up with a catchy startup name.
Right, they don't need to be Voltify or Zat. They just need to tell you what they do.
Does what it says on the tin. In a complex world, clarity is king.
So, for you listening, whether you're a fleet manager in Sacramento or just someone interested in how the world is wired, what's the takeaway here? What should you be looking for next?
Don't look at the cars. Everyone looks at the shiny new EVs. Look at the logistics. Look at the boring infrastructure. And watch for more of these hyper-local mobile entities popping up in other regulatory hubs. Austin, New York, London.
And ask yourself, is the grid keeping up?
Spoiler. It isn't. And as long as the grid lags behind the mandate, businesses like this one will print money.
The gap between the law and the physics, that's where the profit is.
That is a cynical but entirely accurate way to put it.
I love it. Well, we have taken a forward URL and found an entire ecosystem inside it. I don't think I'll ever look at a white van in Sacramento the same way again.
Just check if it has a plug on the side.
I will.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for this deep dive. Thank you for listening, and thank you for helping us peel back the layers of the seemingly mundane.
Always a pleasure.
This has been the deep dive into Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions. Keep your eyes on the road and stay curious.